I have to say it. I'm not going to be the Alabama coach. What?
How could you not predict at least 10 to 13 wins for next season is all I'm saying. But again,
Jesus Christ, 13 wins.
I said
you want an opportunity to play, and the Jets have given me an opportunity to play.
I'm sorry. I just remember that you compared Gesicki to Kelsey. I'm sorry.
I did not. You know
No question
what?
about it. I am ready to get hurt again.
And another week, sir, of not hurting. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 10 of the Battered Phins fans podcast. I am your host, the Bearded Fanatic. This is my co-host, the Battered Jets fan, Danny G. Danny, how you feeling today?
I'm pretty good this week. I'm pretty good. Better than last week, that's for sure.
For sure. We're not going to get into why you're happy. It doesn't really matter, sir. But I come off another 3 straight victories again to start the season. 3 up, 3 down, 3 up again. But let me tell you, that's not just all I'm excited about. I'm excited about our special guest that we have today because when I joined Twitterverse many moons ago, I didn't expect to find somebody as in love with the Dolphins as I am. You know, like if I could tattoo every single Dolphin emblem all over my body, I probably would.
You've tried.
Yeah. This person definitely biggest Dolphin fan of the year, biggest Dolphin fan ever as far as the ones that I've ran into. And we had Big E on the show. Big E's another big Dolphin fan. And I'm going to say this. You got 1A and 1B. We got 1A in the show joining us today. And we're going to welcome Dolph Freaky to the show. Dolph Freaky, welcome to the Battered Phins fan podcast.
Hey, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Listen, when it was a long time coming that eventually I was going to be like, I'm going to try to get her on the show. You're a superstar. And, you obviously know that. But the one thing about you is, and the one thing that I find most special is not just you're a Dolphins fan, is how many things you're involved in, whether it's with pet shelters, whether it's hurricane relief, whether it's cancer challenges, and you're being a captain of that and getting donations together for that. Dolph, you're a mom, you're a wife, you're the biggest Dolphin fan almost ever. How do you find so much time in the day to be able to spread yourself? Oh, and by the way, you're a working woman as well. How do you find so much time in the day to get all these things into your life?
It's just funny because, I think I'm sort of a psychopath in the fact that, I'm this obsessed and this ingrained in, the Dolphins now. I don't think I'm the greatest fan ever. I haven't been going to games, my whole life, like a lot of people have, with, 400 games under their belt.
Yeah.
I'm still young, and so, I think with me, I just, as I got started in the fandom and everything and started falling in love with the team and the fans and everything, I just wanted to do more and more. And then I just started to see the opportunities. So yeah, you can be a fan club leader. I run Southwest Florida Dolphin Club with my wonderful admin team. And we have so much fun. We have watch parties and we do a beach bash every year. And it's things like that, like helping people have a good time, bringing people into the fold so they can help, find other Dolphin fans to connect with, and, just making sure that everybody's able to, see a game. They don't have to watch the game at home. You can come and have a good time with your fellow fans. So, that was one of the first things that I really started getting involved with was the fan clubs and helping people find fan clubs and things like that. And then, I just got involved in a lot of the charity work because naturally when you're running clubs, you are doing charity work. And also, just kind of, I learned a lot from the other fans and the big super fans and what they do. And, they've shown me a lot over the years that it's not just about being on TV or, having the most merchandise or having the best game day outfits, but it's about, what you do for your community and how you, kind of, make a difference for people. And so, that's why I do what I do. And I love it. So I make the time, with things like a lot of people say, oh, I don't have the time. But if you love it and you get fulfillment from it, you do make the time for it.
That's awesome because that's exactly what I've shared with Danny. That's why I'm one of your biggest fans, is for the simple fact that you don't make excuses. I follow you on IG, I follow you on Twitter. You have your hands almost in every single possible pie you could possibly put your hands into. And another thing is, and Danny probably doesn't know this, the name Dolph Freaky, if I'm not mistaken, and you could clarify on this, that was your rap name, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, so this stems back to like 2009. DirecTV had the Ultimate Displaced Fan Contest, and I grew up in Pennsylvania, and so like I had a room like very much dumbed down compared to this, because this has grown tremendously over the years as I've collected things and whatnot. But I had a little basic Dolphin room, and I did a rap song. I changed the words to Will Smith's Miami to be about the Dolphins, and I just kind of did like a little digital camera video for this contest. And of course, you had to write an essay too and explain why you're the best fan basically living outside of where your team is. And so I got an honorable mention for that contest. And that just kind of, that the name was Dolfreaky Finizzle. And I was just trying to be funny, just trying to be like corny. But then as I moved down here and I got season tickets and started attending the games regularly, it was just like, it just stuck. And like people started knowing me as Dolfreaky. Like there's some people who just don't even know my real name.
Right.
So it's just something that stuck, and the fans liked it for some reason.
I know Danny wants to sneak one in there before I let you in. We got to talk about the biggest one. As somebody, and I'm sure that he's been a great person to lean on, but being nominated, one, and then ultimately winning, and I know you're going to the Super Bowl this year, but kind of like lean into that a little bit. What's been your relationship with Big E? And then ultimately, how did it feel? And I saw the pictures. You could definitely saw how much emotion was in your body at that moment. But how has it felt leaning on Big E as a previous winner, and now you ultimately being fan of the year?
Yeah, so I mean, this contest is only in its third year, so it's very new, and I am also very new to Twitter. I've only been on Twitter for about 2 years, and it was another podcaster, Reason from Finside the NFL, he was my first podcast ever, actually. And I was so nervous, like it was just like now like podcasting's like whatever. But he was like, if you're like into sports and like the way that you are, you need to be on Twitter. And I'm like, okay. So then I noticed Big E, and around that time was when he had won a Fan of the Year, and I was, I was observing what he was doing and how he was always positive, always kind. He always responded to every tweet. He was retweeting to help people. Just the way that he was, I was like, he is awesome. Like, I need to know him. And so then we've become such good friends over the last couple years. And the same thing with Mark Angelo, last year's winner. Mark Angelo, I actually credit with like being one of the people who brought me into the fold as for like being a new fan, and people didn't know me yet, and he was hosting fan club weekend and the tailgate, and like he introduced me to a lot of people that I know now. And so it's people like that are doing things on social media and in real life and hosting events and doing things for the fans that really made kind of an impression on me. And so, like it's been great to see how different fans behave. You have all different people in the community doing all different great things. And so I just try to take a little bit, from everybody and learn from their successes and failures.
Well, I will tell you that one thing that Danny and I discussed previously, I think it was last week, Danny, right before we got recording, that I said, you, Big E, Mark Angelo, obviously my bad for missing, and you, big buddy, I know that you're also a huge Dolphins fan. What he said, his ultimate goal, obviously I have this ultimate goal for myself as well, but it was nice hearing it from him as well, is to eventually be on that same level as you guys, not just because to be recognized, but to be as important to the fan base as you guys are, because you guys ultimately do so much. But I'll switch gears for one moment, because this guy,
nice.
This guy was curious about one thing, and I'll let you tell him, Danny. Go ahead and ask her love for the Rangers.
Well, I have two questions, because I'm a big Rangers fan, so I was curious because I saw that you're a Rangers fan, but I didn't know that you just said that you're from Pennsylvania, and in 2009 you recorded that. So now I have two questions: one, the Rangers, and two, how did you become a Dolphins fan from living in Pennsylvania?
It's kind of simple. My dad was a diehard Dolphin fan growing up because the Dolphins were good at the time. All the kids were Dolphin fans at that time. And so, like we were raised in Pennsylvania, just growing up watching the Dolphins. And the Rangers. So my dad is like even more into hockey than he is into football. And he's even played hockey, not professionally, but, he's played, and like we grew up going to his games and then, going to the Rangers. And because we were in Pennsylvania, it was super close, to New York. And we used to go into the city for games at Madison Square Garden and stuff. And so,
Right.
yeah, like it just, that's just how it ended up. And then like, I'm all over the place as far as my sports teams. Like I'm a Phillies fan, I'm a Sixers fan, but like, I just don't, and being as ingrained into the Dolphins as I am, I don't have a lot of time for other sports. So, I am primarily football, and then hockey takes my second seat.
Mind you,
Did you drive up to Tampa last year?
Yes, I went to the game in Tampa during the playoffs, and then I think I went to 3 games last year. So whenever the Rangers come to Florida, then I make that a point.
I have never been to a hockey game, and that's definitely in my bucket list. I've never been to a hockey game, and everybody tells me it's literally the next exciting thing to football.
It is. It's totally different, and it's it's very like nerve-wracking, I would say.
It is.
Yeah, and like the Rangers in the playoff run that they went on last year, like was super intense. Like just I was out of my mind like every single game. So yeah, it's very exciting. You need to go.
Well, I appreciate the fact that that's the only thing you have in common with this damn Jets fan that I co-host this show with. But ultimately, what you're here for is to talk some football, and we're going to recap victory at Soldier Field. And you had I had every intention to be at this game, but unfortunately family things have happened over the last few months that, I've had to stretch myself a little thinner than I usually do, but I did want to be at that game. It was awesome to know that you, Ashley, you were at this game, being able to watch it in person. And we're going to hit on a few key notes and Dolph, but ultimately, I guess before we get into all the subtopics here, how was the environment at Soldier Field? Did we have a huge fan base there the way we have kind of like MetLife takeovers and stuff like that?
I don't think it was the same presence as MetLife takeover. But I would say that the Dolphins fans were spread pretty evenly throughout. Like in my section, I had probably more Dolphins fans than Bears fans in my area. Nice. But as you kind of look out, it's kind of hard to tell because we share the same color of orange. So like sometimes you can't fully tell unless they're wearing, the aqua color. But I would towards the end of the game when we really like started to but we were struggling a little bit, and we started to get really, really loud on defense. And I think it made a difference in the game at the end.
Awesome. And let's get into some of those keynotes because for me, and we're not going to poo-poo on anybody, but one of the biggest letdowns for me this offseason, because I had such high hopes for him, was Edmonds coming over here to Miami. Yeah. And I don't know if it was ever a scheme thing that it just didn't fit for him. But, ever going back to the Bengals game where he had that big drop in the back of the end zone, a couple more, not being able to average a lot running out of the backfield. And Raheem Mostert's done a great job. So no knock to him. We didn't really need another running back.
Right.
But what a difference the trade for Jeff Wilson was. What an impact he made right away. What was your take on how Jeff Wilson's day went?
Yeah, I was actually surprised, having less than a week to really prepare with the team and get used to the system and then, to come out and be productive. That was a pleasant surprise for me. And it is, definitely such a compliment to have him with Mostert and have the two, the tandem that just makes the run game even better. So, I think in general, the deal that they worked out, it is to our benefit. So I know, Edmonds, we were excited, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And luckily they switched it up quick before it's too late. So I'm happy.
Yep. Danny, give me your two takes because Jeff Wilson, like I said, 9 carries, 51 yards out of the backfield, also caught that big touchdown pass as well. I know you were texting me about Bradley Chubb. Is Bradley Chubb even playing? He was in the game. He was on a snap count. But ultimately, how do you feel about those two additions to the team?
Well, Wilson almost averaged 6 yards a carry. So he was a lot more productive than I thought he would be. So, and that touchdown, I don't think your Dolphin fans gave him enough credit for getting into the end zone there because it was like 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. If you guys don't score there or don't get that first down, you guys kick a field goal and you go up by 6 instead of by 10. And that was a big difference because the Bears were Fields was basically just running all over you guys.
I like that.
So I think that he didn't get enough credit for that touchdown, and I was surprised. Now, Bradley Chubb, And I wasn't joking when I texted you that. That was a legitimate question. I was like, is he playing? Because I didn't notice him on the field at all. And he's wearing number 2.
One tackle.
Yeah, he was he was primarily being used on third downs. He was on a snap count. It was talked about with the commentators. But you know what? Again, go back and you watch the game, especially from the all 22 view. He had some pressures. He wasn't just in field space, and a lot of the times that he was running for his life. I don't say running for his life. The guy had 15 carries, 178 yards. But every time he had to escape the pocket was the presence of being brought by Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips off of those edges.
And this week coming up against Jacoby Brissett, he should get home a lot more. You're not playing against Justin Fields. Justin Fields is a maniac with his legs. So if Bradley Chubb looks like he did last week, then maybe I'd be like, you know what's going on with Bradley Chubb? But it's only week 1.
Right.
He just
he had less than a week to prepare. Like think
Right.
about it. He was just signed on what? Like
But so did
Monday or
Wilson.
Tuesday.
Oh.
Yeah, no, of course.
No.
And you know all the things that go into like getting into it. Like you're doing physicals and you have this and that going
Right.
on, and then you're not really like fully preparing with the team that entire week. So to come into it, and I know. When a new player comes on, everybody expects like immediate success, and that's just not realistic. Like if anybody who starts a brand new job and you are getting used to the other players, you're getting used to the schemes, it's going to take time. So we just have to be patient with
unless you're Tom Brady that won a Super Bowl his first year on the team. Right. But Danny, not the same, by the way, before we move on to another great topic that I'm ready to talk about. It's not the same. Bradley Chubb is coming into a new defense that he didn't run in Denver. Jeff Wilson did run the same exact offense in San Francisco.
Well, and that's why when we were talking about it last week, when you got Jeff Wilson, we're like, we're not sure who he is, but that's Mike McDaniels was just with him last year.
Yeah.
So if he's bringing him over, he knows him well, and that's gonna get rolling really quickly. So we were on the same page on that. And the Bradley Chubb, I'm just joking around. Like
I know.
It was against Justin Fields. Like you can't. But next week, I do expect him to make a difference.
All right, well, let's talk about this next topic. And it's kind of a hot topic, but I had to bring it up because it has been talked about via Twitter, Instagram, everywhere you look. Tua's in the MVP talks. I knew you were going to do that. Tua's in the MVP, and I'm gonna come to you first. Tua is in the MVP talks. And one thing that you brought it up, was that Tua's basically undefeated this season for any game he's finished. So a lot of haters out there, Keyshawn Johnson being one of those big ones that now is turning around. Skip Bayless, he's still a hater, but he literally hates everybody. But I honestly, and I'm not going to give my 2 cents. I'm going to come to you first. When you hear Tua Tagovailoa is in MVP talks, what's your first thought?
I think it's a valid argument. Like literally undefeated. If Chase Edmonds catches that ball in the back of the end zone, he leaves the game with the lead. Like he is undefeated as a starter, as much as I hate to admit it. Like he's playing like an MVP. If it wasn't for Jalen Hurts, who else would you consider MVP over Tua? Josh Allen, I suppose, but he's lost now to the Dolphins and to the Jets.
Yep.
I can't think of anything else off the top of my head that I would consider. I think it's Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, and Patrick Mahomes is having a pretty decent season, but for me,
Mahomes.
Right, but I'm saying people are like, oh, well, he's going to have an offseason because he lost Tyreek Hill. He's still doing a pretty damn bang-up job of not having Tyreek Hill. So
I have a question for you.
Go.
MVP, Tua or Tyreek Hill?
Tua.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what? I hadn't thought about that, but he's opening up the field for other players. Sherfield got a bunch of catches because he was wide open because Tyreek Hill is taking the entire defense with him.
You said it first. He was a great distraction, but here's why I said Tua and why I said it so concrete. At the end of the day, how different was his team when Tua wasn't playing? When Tyreek Hill, he was still being productive, but he wasn't winning the game. Tua is winning these games for you. And yes, Tyreek Hill is a great distraction that even when he's not getting the ball, Tua is still making the rest of the Jalen Waddle's looking really good. Like you said, Trent Sherfield is looking really good. Even Cedric Wilson made an appearance last week after many weeks of not being on the field. But you know what? This transitions perfectly into Ali. Ali, when you heard our boy Tua is in the MVP talks, and if you had to pick between Tua or Cheetah, who's your MVP? How'd you feel? And what would be your pick?
Totally valid point, because like you said, when Tua wasn't in the game, we weren't winning. So yeah, I definitely think, Tua is definitely up for the MVP spot. It just sucks that we had those 3 games where he wasn't there, like what would we look like right now?
Potentially undefeated, right?
Yeah, we could. I really firmly believe we would be undefeated right now. And, to be going up against the Eagles, like I'm from Philadelphia. So that's like my ideal situation for a Super Bowl right now. But yeah, definitely. I mean, if you look at Tua's numbers, the stats don't lie. And especially his lack of picks, like that is to me, that's like, that goes to show, how he's matured as a player over the years and how he's, he's confident, he's accurate, he's getting it done. And yeah, of course, I mean, Tyreek, when you see him running down the field and the ball is in the air, you just have this confidence and that he's coming down with it.
He's
Like
got
that's a comfort that we haven't had as Dolphins fans in a long time with any player. So, obviously I have so much love for Tyreek, and I actually always have. And to see this happening with the Dolphins now, it's so exciting.
So if you had to pick before Danny jumps in here, Tua or Tyreek, Tua is definitely
I'm
your
going
MVP.
with Tua. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well then I love to debate because I'm gonna give Tyreek Hill his props.
Give it to me.
Two things. One, how many PIs has he gotten when going deep?
Oh,
he got one in the end zone.
He's gotten a few. He's gotten a few.
Tua goes deep, and it's either going to be a reception or a penalty, guaranteed.
Yep.
And then that 3-game losing streak. I know Dolphin fans have convinced themselves that they would have won all 3 of those games. I get it.
I like it.
But Tua was losing when he left the game. Yes or no?
He was, but he was also losing against the Ravens. How did that turn out?
Yeah, and we are a second half team. We just
Okay.
never got to see that.
That's true.
Game.
But
Go ahead, Jet fan.
the other 2 games that you guys lost was against the Vikings, which are 7-1.
Yep.
So they're no pushover.
They're not.
And the Jets, who made Josh Allen look horrible. So I understand that you guys probably would have looked better with Tua, but there's no guarantee. But
There's
Tyreek
not.
Hill,
No guarantee.
but no, and I'm not saying that you guys would have won or lost. It could have gone either way. But
Right.
I think that Tyreek Hill has made this offense look as good as it has because he brings so much attention, because he causes so many penalties, and because he opens up the field for players like Sherfield and like you said, Cedric Wilson got into it this week.
Yeah.
Like, I think Tyreek Hill is the most important person on that team. I think if you remove Tyreek Hill, Tua, although he's still effective because he's still accurate and he's still playing well, I don't think he's as effective. And I think Tua, at least the Dolphin MVP, I think it's Tyreek, I'm sorry.
No, you said it right. You said it was Tua. You said it right.
Yeah.
That was definitely the right. And I agree with you. Listen, me and Ali aren't knocking Cheetah. By no means are we knocking Cheetah. We know how amazing he is, and we get the fact that Jalen Waddle is going to have a much better season because Tyreek's on this team. Trent Sherfield, Cedric Wilson, the list goes on and on of how many other players are going to get their bags because of how important the Cheetah is to this team. But one thing that Danny loves talking about, Ali, and I'm going to come to you first. Yes, we won 3 in a row, and we won 3 in a row at the beginning of the season before Tua went down. But can we sustain our winning ways the way our defense is playing? Now, granted, if you've listened to any other episodes, anybody listening, Ali, if you haven't gotten a chance, I've been a fan of this defense for my motto all season has been, yes, we bend a whole lot, but we definitely don't break. And when we need to show up, we do show up. So statistically, I get it. We're at the bottom of the league in a lot of different stats, but it's going to get tricky here later in the season as far as potential playoffs and people who we play in these playoffs. So my question to you, with about still a good chunk of the season left, can we sustain? I get it. We have the offense to keep up with other teams, but if we ever run into a scenario where our offense is not putting up the type of effectiveness that usually, can we sustain these victories the way our defense is playing?
Heaven forbid if something happens to the offense, if something happens to Tyreek or Waddle or Tua, we're doomed, okay?
I'm glad you said it. That wasn't me.
Because, it's great, that to have the offense have the success that they have, and like it allows the defense to lack a little bit because we know, even if we allow the other team to score, we will also score. You know what I mean? Like it's like these back and forth, like continual back and forth games that we're having. So I am very concerned about the defense, and I know that it's a focus for coach, and I know they're working on it. And just with the introduction of Chubb and everything, it goes to show that they are aware of
For
the
sure.
issues. But I'm so disheartened by the lack of pass rush. I'm like, freaking let me out there right now because I'm gonna rush this freaking guy. Like there's just nothing happening there. Nothing. They're having all the time in the world. Why is Fields scrambling for almost 200 yards? Are you kidding me?
He had
Like,
way
that's
more
just-
rushing than passing for sure.
Oh my God.
And I do want to get 3 quick points to you, Ali. Give me some feedback. Did you expect the drop-off? And let's not call it a drop-off. I feel bad calling it a drop-off, but let's call it what it is. Statistically, Emmanuel Ogbah, Jalen Phillips, I feel like they've disappeared this season. Has that been the same look on yours?
I don't know if it's, the lack of Coach Flores being there. What happened? Like, I was just looking at that too. I was looking at X during the game, and I'm looking at Ogbah, and I'm like, I'm not seeing any fire,
Right.
like what is going, like, the days when like we had Cam Wake and he was like
Ooh.
hyping everybody up and he's getting
Mm.
I'm not seeing any of that from this defense. I don't
hate
know
Cam
if they're
Wake so
feeling
much.
defeated. They must be experiencing some challenges internally
Right.
that, we can't see, but there's definitely not the fire and like the hype that there was. But I mean, maybe us as the fans, we could bring it back, right? I always believe I can do something.
Yeah, and the excuses that I've been giving them, I don't know if you agree with this or not. The excuses that I've been giving this defense is it was much easier when you're playing defense and you have Xavier Howard, you have Byron Jones on the opposite side, then you have Brandon and Javon Holland in the backfield. Now you know that you have way more time to get to that quarterback. And the excuse that I've been saying is not having Byron Jones out there and having to rely on Kader Koo, who, by the way, has done a fantastic job, so no knock to him. But to be on Byron Jones' level, we're missing that.
Mhm.
Do you think that's a valid I hate saying excuse, but do you think that's a valid reason on why maybe we're not being as effective getting to the quarterback? Because now the quarterback has way more time, he has the ability to get rid of that ball much faster because the windows are open.
I don't think that that's a valid excuse. I just
Okay.
think, because we have such playmakers, there's no
Right.
reason why they should be affected at all by the absence of one player. You know what I mean? So
like that.
I just don't see like, I don't know, like the Agba of days past. And, I'm not seeing the productivity with him.
I'm with you.
I
Listen,
don't know what the issue is.
I have to battle with Danny. And Danny, the floor is yours now. But
No, but before I take the floor, I had a question. Do you guys agree with me? Because I've been saying it for a couple weeks now.
Sure.
Xavier Howard has fallen off.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened because I thought he was one of the best corners in the league the last couple of years, and this year he's had a really rough go. Is it because he doesn't have Byron Jones on the other side?
It could be, but I also think that and Omar Kelly, we won't get into that, but Omar Kelly also said he also thought that X was playing with an injury as he's done before, and this season it's probably affecting him even more. I don't know if that's the case because think about it. He's not on the injury report, and when he actually got pulled from a game, and then he was out the very next week. Which, if I'm not mistaken, Danny, that was against your Jets. But I personally think he's not playing to X level because of maybe a nagging injury, but who knows? But, sir, the floor is yours. This topic, I know you love bashing on our defense, so it's your turn.
No, I'm not going to bash on it because at home you guys seem to play better defense. I'm not sure what the deal is because when you're on the road, people run up and down the field on you. When you're at home, you guys, like you said, bend but don't break. You give up 90 plays to the Buffalo Bills, but you still manage to win the game somehow. So as long as you're playing at home, I guess you're okay. But I think that that's a very dangerous game to play.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because trying to outscore teams, although you guys have the offense to do it technically, once the playoffs begin, you start playing against better defenses more consistently, right? You're unless you win the division, you're going to be on the road, and you guys your defense has looked like crap on the road. So I think that road games, a good defense, a good special teams, and a good running game, those are the things that travel. Those 3 things basically play well, whether it's home or away. And your special teams, your kicker, I don't know what's wrong with him. He's missed like 4 kicks already this year. So your special teams is questionable, even though you guys got that pump block for a touchdown. But your special teams is questionable. Your defense on the road, questionable. And your running game, it's definitely not as strong as your passing game. So I think that, to me at least, unless the defense starts stepping it up on the road throughout this year, I would be worried if I was you guys because, again, once the playoffs start, if you're playing road games, you need that defense to step up a bit because you're going to have a hard time outscoring some teams in the playoffs.
And I agree with you. Can we continue our winning ways with the defense play? I don't think we can. Like Ali said, Lord forbid that we lose one of our key players like Tua, Tyreek, or Jalen Waddle out of this offense, where now all the concentration could go towards Tyreek, and now he can't be as effective because he's being double and triple teamed, and they're zoning him out of the game. We could potentially see some losses down the road if we don't tighten that up.
Mm-hmm.
And to that point, real quick, you have the Browns, which have a decent defense, not great defense, and then the Texans. But after that, you guys have the Niners, the Chargers, the Bills, the Packers, which are bleh, the Patriots, and then the Jets. Like the schedule toughens up after the next 2 weeks. So your defense really got to figure it out. Bradley Chubb has to earn that new contract he got. I'm not sure why you guys gave it to him so quickly, but he has to earn his money now because he's going to be a key component because Xavier Howard starts playing better once the pass rush starts getting to the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, 100%. And you know what? We're going to preview now Browns week. And Danny, it's a great time to – the reason I segued from the defense into this one is because Nick Chubb is on that Browns offense, and he's been a problem all season, no matter who he plays against. Mm-hmm. But somebody we also know close to home, Jacoby Brissett's coming back to Miami Alley.
Yeah.
And with previewing this Browns game, and we'll get into picking him later, do you feel as confident? Again, we just talked about this defense. We know that we could put up points offensively, but Nick Chubb could have a field day. Are you worried at all about this Browns game coming into this week?
You know, I am worried about it because seeing how we couldn't contain the quarterback running, are we going to be able to contain a decent running back? Like it's one of the, of course, yeah. And the defense, you know, with the struggles, it is weighing heavily on me, but I don't think that Jacoby Brissett is going to be very successful against us. So that's the one comfort that I have.
For sure.
I thought Deshaun Watson was supposed to be back by now.
I'm all for him not being back, but he's scheduled.
Well, I'm okay with him not being in the league, but I'm just saying I thought he was supposed to be back.
His legal troubles continue, so
right.
You know, I think it's just going to lengthen the absence.
Yeah, I've read, and I think I sent you a snapshot, Danny, that it looks like he'll probably be back for the last 4 to 5 games of the season. I don't know if that happens. You never know. Something could derail that, and then he's probably done for this year. But ultimately, Danny, give me your 2 cents. Nick Chubb, we've talked about it. Jacoby probably isn't going to be a problem this weekend, but that O-line and Nick Chubb, again, 841 yards rushing already this season. I get that ESPN has us heavily favored at 60%, but this guy's a problem.
He is. And again, the Jets have a good defense. He ran up and down the field on the Jets. I want to say he only got almost 200 yards. He had like 2 touchdowns. The only reason the Jets won the game is because he was a bonehead, and instead of dropping down before getting into the end zone, he got into the end zone and we got the ball back and the whole onside kick and all that other fun stuff. But the Browns are a good team, and Jacoby Brissett is a game manager that uses his legs. He's not going to look like Justin Fields did against you guys, but he could scramble for a couple first downs. So you guys got to keep an eye on him also. Now, like I said, Bradley Chubb has to earn his money.
I like it. Listen, we're only a 3.5 favorite. I am not worried about Jacoby Brissett in the aspect of, like you said, him running on us. But he's got some special people to throw the ball to. He's got Amari Cooper out there, and Peoples-Jones is another solid wide receiver that a lot of people aren't paying attention to, but he also gets open. So if Xavier Howard even has a potential off game covering Amari Cooper, it could be a problem this game. So do I feel super confident about this game? No, I talked to you about it a few weeks ago that a lot of people on Twitter, Ali, and I don't know how closely you follow the predictions of people dropping on Twitter, but apparently we're winning every single game, and we should win every single game. They're like, these next few weeks are a bunch of gimme games, and I tend not to go that route. I say that, except for the Jets playing Buffalo, I said they had 0% chance to beat the Buffalo Bills, and boy, was I wrong. And Danny made me pay for that on social media. But I think none of these games are gimme games, and I don't think the Browns is a gimme game. Do I think our defense will play better at home? Yep. Do I think that Jacoby won't run on us? For sure. But I think he has the potential of lighting up this defense, and I don't mean to the level of like 3-4 touchdowns, but he can get the ball down the field, and if all he has to do is turn around at the 10-yard line and hand it off to Nick Chubb could get into that end zone and be a problem.
You're right. And I do think I take a little bit of comfort knowing that we are at home, and like you said, like our defense is playing better at home. And hopefully with Chubb, getting a little bit of more practice with the team this week, that, maybe we will have a pass rush and they will have to rely completely on Chubb. And that's, so be it. But what can we do? And like you said, like, there's no gimme games. This is the NFL, and like any, Sunday, especially with the way the season started. Like I normally I do like a pick'em league every season, and I was like eliminated after week 3. I'm like, what? There's just so many crazy games going on, like wild outcomes, and you just never know any given Sunday. So, we always have to keep our guard up no matter what.
Before we pick this game, I want to get your thought on one final thing that has absolutely nothing to do with either not this game. Potentially, and we'll find out tomorrow, Josh Allen may miss a few games. And that literally opens the gates. Like, I always thought that the Bills were going to win the division and eventually go on into the playoffs, and then we were going to be in the playoffs. Where we were seated, that didn't matter, but I figured we'd make the playoffs this season. Kind of like how Danny said, I saw 10 to 13 wins, and he was like, Jesus, he didn't believe it. But ultimately, I think we're getting
13
there.
is a lot of wins, man. 13.
That's what I was saying too. I was saying 13-4, and I'm still sticking to it because we are still on pace to do it.
You guys are both crazy.
Do you think with the potential of Josh Allen missing a few games, do you think it's a race to first place between us, Bills, and the Jets now if they have to lose games with Josh Allen?
Yeah, and like, let's remember too, the Patriots aren't that far behind us either. This is
one
crazy.
Game.
Like, I will be completely honest. I did not see the Jets being as successful going into this season. They were not on my radar at all.
They weren't either.
So, props to you guys. I'm happy for you, I guess. But like, it's one of those things where
you ain't gotta fake it. You don't gotta fake it.
I'm trying to be nice, but it is shocking, and it's anybody's, division, anybody's playoff spot right now, and it's gonna be tricky. And of course, this would happen to us, right? Like when we're playing half decent, and now we have to like rely on other teams to lose. So it sucks when we don't control our own fate.
Well, in all fairness, last year we were in a position that we controlled our own fate in back-to-back weeks, and we did not take advantage.
We don't do well there.
That's either near or there. But Ali, it's definitely time to go ahead and pick this game.
But before it goes, aren't you happy that happened? Because Brian Flores would probably still be here if that didn't happen. If you make the playoffs,
that's true.
Brian Flores is still here.
That's true. You know what? I'm glad we didn't make the playoffs. All right. I appreciate that. Before we get to Ali, Danny, I'm gonna start off with you. Give me your pick'ems for this game. Is it going to be the Browns? Is it going to be the Dolphins?
Up until now, I think I've only predicted one game incorrectly, and it's when I thought that you guys would beat the Vikings.
Yeah.
Other than that, I've been on the money, and I don't see you guys beating the Browns.
Ooh.
I think the Browns defense will find a way to keep you guys in relative check. I think Nick Chubb is going to do just enough to take a lead, and I honestly think that the Browns get this dub. There's a reason why you guys are only a 3-point favorite at home. If you look at I'm sorry to go too long, but the Browns schedule, there's only one game that they've lost by more than 3 points. Like, they've been in every game because of their defense, because of their running game, and because of the game manager, Jacoby Brissett. And with that recipe, like I said, defense, special team, and running games, those travel on the road. And that's what they have. So I think that they're going to pull one off this year.
What's the final score?
Sorry, this week.
What's the final score?
Final score. 2017.
20. Wow, he's giving us a whole 17. Ali, I leave it up to you, Senorita. How do you?
No way. Before we get to Ali, let's be clear. I've been saying this all year. For some reason, your offense is explosive, but the same way you guys bend but don't break, you also get close but don't get in the end zone. It finally happened against the Bears, but before that, you guys just don't.
The Lions game
for some reason.
What about the Lions game, sir?
The last 2 weeks, then?
Yeah.
Well, before those 2 games,
we're putting it together.
Got to bring facts into this.
Listen, I told you for a long period of time that once the offense clicks in everybody's minds and everybody's repetitions and they get there, it was going to start looking good. It's looked good for the past week. So the fact that you're saying 17 points is pretty disrespectful. But Ali, I'm coming to you. I want you to pick this game. But what you got going on for this week?
You will never hear me say the Dolphins are not going to lose or not going to win. So we're taking this one 24-21. I do not think that the Browns have a shot against us. I'm sorry. I got it written down on my little paper since the beginning. This is a win. I'm sticking with it. I think we're going to find a way to bring the pass rush. I think the defense is going to show us that they're making improvements. And you know what? Cheetah, Waddle, they're going to be all over the end zone, right in front of my seat. I'm going to be pulling them in all day, 24-21.
I like it. I like it.
I'm going to clip this and play it back next week. She
Yeah.
said
Let's go.
no chance.
Let's go.
She said no chance.
I'm not scared.
No chance didn't work for me last week. I hope it doesn't come back and bite you in the ass because he definitely made me pay for it. But by the way, first of all, they're going to be running into my seats because I'm right there behind the end zone. Hopefully they jump into my lap. But listen, it's a bad thing. And hopefully this week, because that Vikings game, by the way, I was surrounded by a sea of purple. I don't know how bad it was in your section. I looked over. I did see, obviously the cluster of fans that you guys come with. But Jesus Christ, so many people clapping skull in my ears all game. It was terrible. But let's talk about this game. Danny, here's what I see this game. The fact that you gave 17, so disrespectful. I personally think that our offense is going to kickstart this game in the aspect that we're just going to go down the field and score. And now they're going to have to play catch up. And I think we're going to come back in the field and we're going to score again. And now they're playing from behind. I think that we put up a quick 21 to 24 points on this team, making the Browns one-dimensional where not running the block and killing time is going to be their turn, because to keep Nick Chubb as a person that can affect you, you got to put points on the board where they can't just rely on handing it off to Nick Chubb. If you make that offense one-dimensional and have to rely on Jacoby Brissett to win you the game, I don't think they're going to be able to do it. And I see us winning this game 28-20. And the Dolphins come out of Hard Rock Stadium with a dub.
And Tua stays undefeated.
Tua is going to stay undefeated because you guys got a soft schedule coming up. But no, I do think that I think that the Browns are going to take it this week. And like I said, I didn't get it Sunday. It could happen. Maybe you guys still win. I can't imagine how obnoxious you guys are going to be if you guys win again. But I do think that the Browns are going to win. I guess. I don't know.
I guess.
Yeah, nobody knows.
Well, listen, Ali.
I had a quick question. I'm sorry to cut you
it.
off. You said you wanted them to jump into your lap. What's up with your stadium that they have to jump over a couch before they get to your lap?
Oh,
I'm gonna
don't get me started.
No, I'm gonna let Ali take that one because first of all, she's been a season ticket holder. I think Ali, I've been a season ticket holder since 2015. Not easily, but making my way down to row one. First, how long have you been a season ticket holder? And give me your thoughts on those love seats in the front.
So I've been coming to games since like 2008 or so. But I've actually only been a season ticket holder for 2 years.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I was buying the tickets, game to game because I had a job that I couldn't come to every game. So I would make maybe 6 home games a year before the last 2 years where I've been to every home game. So I didn't want to get season tickets because I don't want to have to sell them every I couldn't go. But yeah, I was spending so much money on tickets, like $300, $350 a seat every time I would come to a game. And so eventually I was like, I'm just going to do it. But yeah, what were we talking about after that?
Love seats.
The love seats in the front.
Okay. Do not get me started on this. Okay. This is like a topic that I despise. When I look down below me and I see these couches, and they're like $1,000 a seat and they're sitting empty. And if you look across to the home side where we have the 72 on the 50-yard line where the 72 club is, and you see those empty couches too, it is so frustrating because that is such prime real estate to the home team to have a situation where the average person cannot even afford to sit there.
For sure.
That is appalling to me. And I have spoken on this so many times. And I really just think at this point, the Dolphins need to do something about that. And I don't know how much money they take in, maybe they only have to sell every other seat, to make it worth it. But I think they are doing the home fans a disservice with that setup.
I'm in total agreement with you. When I was, again, back in 2015, before those love seats even got put into place, eventually I got moved up to row one during COVID season, and I was still living in Tampa at that point. So, I said, by next year, we'll worry about that. And I remember when my rep called me and she goes, yeah, for the whole season, it's like 50,000. I was like, $50,000 to sit in those? No, not at all. And if I won the Powerball, maybe then I'd probably say, yeah, I'm gonna buy the whole row. Me and Dolph Freak and the rest of the gang could just take up all these seats down here, and I'll buy those. But yeah, I'm with you.
I think out of principle, you shouldn't buy those seats and just protest them.
For sure.
Buy them and just leave them empty. No,
yeah, I don't know who's buying those. I don't know who's buying those seats. I don't know if it's corporations that use them in business deals. I don't know who actually. I don't know anyone who sits there because let's just face it, like we're regular people. Like we have to work, and everything. So it is frustrating, and to be like where I sit is the deep end, and I'm row 2, and to not be able to like embrace the players, when they come like you can do at Lambeau Field, or like we don't have that. That option is just not. Everywhere. It's not an option at all for us. Why? Like why not?
Listen, all I know is that you're really good friends with Mr. Garfinkel. I think you should just have that one-on-one conversation with him already.
Hey, listen, like with the fan of the year, I don't know like what kind of conversations I can have, but I assume, I'm hoping at some point I can,
that
talk
should be
to him about my grievances.
That should be question 1. Let's get rid of those seats.
Dude, trust me, it's on the top of the list already. And like, yeah, I'm frustrated that the deep end is where it is. It didn't always used to be there. We're in like the sun and it's hot and it's corner end zone seats. Like it's not the greatest. And,
I almost died in the Bills game, by the way.
The Bills game was the hottest game I've ever been to.
Like EMTs had to help me out of the stadium because
God,
because I got dehydrated.
Yeah,
literally, I kid you not. But before we let you go, I want to do something. And Danny doesn't know I was going to do this, but I figured who better than not to promote the episode, but promote this giveaway. November 27th, we play the Houston Texans at home. Mm-hmm. Section 130, row 1, seats 17 and 18 are mine. I want to give them away.
Oh, wow.
I want to give them away, not just to obviously a Dolphin fan, obviously a Dolphin fan, but not just any Dolphin fan. I want to give them away, and I'll let you, by all means, take the lead on this. Somebody who's never been to a Dolphin game, maybe somebody who hasn't been able to bring their kid to a Dolphin game. If that matches anybody put them in touch with me, and I want to give them those tickets to go to the game. I will be on a cruise to Mexico for a whole week, so I'm going to be missing that game. But I don't want to sell them and then have some Texans fans in my seat. So I'm gonna put it on Twitter. And by all means, you know way more people on Twitter than I do. If anybody matches that description, I want to give them those tickets, and I want them to come to the game and enjoy a Dolphins game and a Dolphins victory.
Oh, that's sweet of you. Yeah, I will definitely help promote any way I can. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head, but I mean, I know these people are out
we'll
here.
Think of another way. If not, we'll think of another way. We'll do a promotion towards your Cancer Fund Challenge, and it will put them all in a wheel like Big E did. I won his Eagles tickets when he ran the promotion earlier this year. By the way, great side. If I could afford sideline passes next year, I'm doing sideline passes next year. That was a great experience.
It's so much fun. I had a guy who gave me sideline passes for the preseason, and it was so cool. It's a whole new experience down there.
Well,
it must be nice to live in the same city as the team that you root for.
Don't hate. You could root for the Dolphins, but you choose not to.
I live 2 hours away, so it's not an easy thing for me either.
But I live 20 hours away.
Dude, I've been there. Like, listen, like I said, Pennsylvania, we only came down once a year, but it was like the highlight of my life when we did come.
That's not the reason that you moved down here, is it?
That's awesome. That's
awesome. That and the weather. I mean, I always loved Florida,
fair enough.
But I always just wanted to be more involved with the team. I wanted season tickets, and my poor husband, he didn't want to go at all. And I'm like,
Mr. Goodman,
we're doing this.
Mr. Goodman. Listen, I love the fact that he's Dolph Freaky security. I love that about Jared. And Jared's an awesome man.
He puts up with a lot. Trust me. Like, he's not a football fan. He does.
I was gonna ask, is he a Dolphins fan?
He's just not a fan of football at all. Yeah. And like, he makes so many sacrifices so that I can, do all of this. And
that's awesome.
Right now, like, we're sacrificing time together so that I can podcast. And he knows during football season that this is how it is. And so we always joke, oh, I'll see you in February. But now he's coming to the games with me, and we're doing it together. So he's been my number one support. So it's awesome.
No, shout out to Jared. He is big people. He's an amazing human being,
Yeah.
especially not just for everything he does for you, but the fact that he joins you in all the other things that you're involved in. He helps with the charity
Yes.
work. He's out there helping hurricane relief. Anything that to help people out, he's also doing the same. But big ups to that. Listen, you said it. Highlight of my year has been now being able to get Biggie, get 305 Sports Vape, and get you on the show. Thank you so much. You have you have no idea how much it means to me to have you on the show and to talk football and to talk Dolphins.
It is absolutely my pleasure. Anytime.
By the way, I have a surprise for you. I can't tell you right now, but let's just say Santa listened, and I'll leave you out on that. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, this was episode 10 of the Battered Phins fan podcast. If you're not following her already, you're probably not a Dolphin fan, but make sure you follow my girl Doll Freaky on all social media platforms. That is the Battered Jets fan, Danny G, and I am the Bearded Fanatic. We'll catch you at Hard Rock Stadium this Sunday with a victory over the Cleveland Browns. See y'all.
Thank you guys. Fins up.
You guys are gonna lose.